Air Force basketball on Altitude is brought to you by Huberger Subaru. Need a Subaru? Huberger is the place to get it. Final in this one. Wow, as tight as they come. 62, 61, 60 in favor of Wyoming, and we're still trying to unfold the events that came out here as the Academy had the lead down the stretch. I just praised the officials for getting the out-of-bounds call right with 13 seconds to play. Air Force had a lot of trouble getting the ball back in bounds, and Wyoming with the breakaway, and it looked like Weideman created the contact. No call by the officials down low, and an official out at half court whistles the foul.
Well, I think it really, from that long review, like it was like a complete change in the tide of the game. And I think, Air Force had that costly turnover. They could not turn the ball over that possession, and that kind of set it off. And then you had the 2 jump ball possessions. Being able to get the basketball in, I mean, you have to credit Wyoming.
Yes.
Regardless of how, you can feel about the officiating, you have to credit Wyoming. They're poised down the stretch, understanding, being able to play the game without fouling, and understanding, being able to get a stop the way they were able to, and then come down and capitalize. I mean, this is a heartbreaker for the Falcons, but you can't say enough about what the Cowgirls did defensively, and then they're poised down the stretch.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. They don't make the calls. They made the execution, and a senior-laden team that made it tough to get in. Let's take a look at the highlights, how this unfolded down the stretch. The Falcons played a beautiful basketball game and forced turnovers down the stretch. I think there was like 5 or 6 at halftime, but they really upped the level in the second half, and it paid off in the form of Milani Perry.
Milani Perry was so good. A career high. Was really, at times the Falcons really struggled with Lowell's offensively. Perry came in, the freshman, 22 points, 6 of 10 from the field.
But Weideman.
Weideman, she was so good. 5th-year senior. She finished with 17.
Crossover dribble by Milani Perry. She had a career high in this game. What did she finish with?
Yeah, Milani Perry, 22.
And then Madison Smith with a big bucket there. That's the almost turnover. Now, here's the play that caused a little bit of No, that was earlier in the game before we got down there. So you come down the stretch, Air Force, it's a back-and-forth battle. I mean, this game was a 2-3-point game all the way down, and there's the last shot right there, and the Cowgirls hold on. And I wanted to take a look at that replay, if we had it, of the foul. 61-60. The shooting percentage by the Cowboys, 50%. Just 3 of 14 from 3. Points in the paint tightened up a little bit, and Air Force turned them over 15 times. So.
And a lot of them came in the second half. I think that there's some really good. This is a heartbreaker. This one hurts for Air Force. I mean, you got to feel like you made a run in that fourth quarter. They were able to outscore Wyoming 21-17. You felt like you had the game in your hands. It was going to come down to the free throw battle, and it didn't even get to that point because of the turnovers and of the jump ball situations. But if I'm Coach Gobrek, once they decompress from this one a little bit, her frustration. She was frustrated a lot tonight. You had 30 bench points for the Falcons, and a lot of that being Milani Perry. You were able to really tighten things up defensively the second half. You had some balanced scoring attack. There are some good things to take away from it, but a lot that hurts as well.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it, final thoughts-wise, you're 2-2. You would have gone to 3-2 with that victory. As you said, this one stings. A lot of young players on this team. We also saw, Faith Shelton stepped up big too. So your thoughts going forward for this basketball team once the pain of this one subsides?
I think that there's a lot of good that can be taken away. I think at the end of the day, the point paints by Wyoming were the difference maker. I think that the poise of the backcourt by the Cowgirls was ultimately the difference down the stretch. You saw a little bit of youth. You saw a little bit of inability to get stops when needed to in those second and third quarters. And ultimately, you could look at those final couple minutes of that game and say, oh, I wish I would have done this. A little bit of something different here and there would have been the difference. But those points in the paint, that's what we talked about coming into this game would be a difference maker, and to me that's still the most glaring stat of this game.
Well, and Wyoming got the turnover when they needed to. A senior-laden defensive team on the floor that forced the inbounds passes, and the Air Force Academy Falcons just weren't able to get it done. So tough one here for the Air Force Falcons as they drop it 61-60, and a real tough one. That's the final score. We'll be back January 17th at 7 p.m. when your Falcons men's team takes on the Wyoming Cowboys. This has been a presentation of Altitude Sports Entertainment, your home for the Air Force Falcons. For myself, Todd Romero, Rachel Galligan, and the entire crew, thanks for joining us. We'll see you all season long on Altitude Sports. Again, the final 61-60 Cowgirls.